Hey everyone, and welcome to Kindle Unlimited, the podcast for reviews, rants, and ramblings about books from our absolute favorite way to get books, the Kindle Unlimited universe. I'm one of your hosts, Amity.
And I'm Lauren.
And I'm Steph. And this week we read Story of My Life by Lucy Score. But before we get into this book, how has your week been? What are you guys reading? I actually have a funny story about the book I just currently finished after this one. So I'm reading this book and I'm like, man, these characters seem so familiar.
I know where this is going.
And I was like, wait a minute. We read the second book of this series in our podcast. For the podcast, we read The Reason I Married Him by Megan Quinn. And I read the third book and it was The Path to Loving Him.
Aww.
And it was about the brother. And it took
my memory.
Okay, so it was about Almond Bay. Like
Yes.
he like comes in and
the farm or something.
Yes.
Oh.
And he needs somebody to marry him for a house.
Yes,
like, grandpa's house and all this stuff.
Now I remember.
And then the brother has custody of the sister's niece.
Oh, was it the
so it was the
brother with
brother's story.
Oh.
So
Was that cute?
it was really good. I actually really, really enjoyed it. But it was funny because it took me a while until I was like, wait a minute, like, why does these characters seem so familiar? Like this group chat, like
I've seen her before.
yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
And so I read the third one, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I'm interested to see what she does next because the main female character has a best friend who is like texting her younger brother. So I'm curious if that's going to be, the fourth book because there's no more siblings left. So, but that was what I read. Oh, but real quick, the last chapter was the niece's like ending of her story. So I'm curious if the niece is going to have a book of her own.
Oh.
So, but yeah, Mac.
Oh, yes.
Was the niece. So, but it was funny because they had like Uncle Wyatt, who was in the other book.
Yes.
Who was the like niece's best friend. But okay.
I cheated a little on the Kindle Unlimited universe.
Oh, yeah.
I know. I did a couple. So I did two things.
She did.
Yeah, that's fine. Audiobooked The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren, which was really funny.
Okay.
And then I also read Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez in the same...
the new one?
That one was
Yes.
so good.
Did you read it?
I think so.
So it just came out beginning of the month. It was fantastic.
And I did not, but I read a bunch of other Abby Jimenez after the like one that we did for the podcast.
Yeah.
I probably read 6 or 7 of her books.
loved her book. So it had a couple, from what's the one with the kidney transplant? What's the name of that book?
It's a letter or something.
Yours truly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you remember the parrot that talked from that book?
Yes.
He made a
cameo
in the book. It was very cute.
Fun. I read a couple things. I read a lot of Play Along by Liz Tomford.
You're
yes.
caught up.
I am. I had read the first, I think this is book 4.
Okay, what did you think of Caught Up and Play Along? Did you read Play Along yet?
Isn't that what I just said I was reading?
I don't remember. I had a stroke.
Yeah, Play Along.
What did you think of Caught Up?
So I read it a long time ago.
Oh, with Kai?
Yes.
Okay.
So I probably liked it at the time. I had tried to start the whole series back over and read book 1 again. But, we read pretty formulaic books.
Yeah.
And I don't mind the formulaic, I realized the first time reading it. But reading the same story and characters the second time, I wasn't enjoying it. And I was like, oh, let's peruse what's on TV. Let's read anything else. And so I knew if I just kept trying to read that, I would fall off the reading wagon. So I was like, let me zoom ahead to something I haven't read yet. So Play Along has been cute. I didn't quite finish it because we got close to the wire for this recording of Story of My Life. But then also yesterday, I got a really cool experience. Like I said, I kind of cheated on KU. But I did get this book from the library, which was fun. And I read a hardcover book, like the real actual
Wow.
book. I know that's a big step for me. It's the first time, honestly, that I can remember I've done that in recent memory. But I read the book The Mango Tree by Annabelle Tomatich, um, for the book club through the Women's Network at work. And I got to lead the book club. And Annabelle Zoom teamed in with us.
Is she
Oh,
from like
so
Southwest
cool.
Florida?
Yep, she is from Fort Myers. It was so cool to talk to her. She was so sweet. The book is her memoir. So, it's already very like intimate and so, detailed of her life story as a memoir should be. And then she went like even further, into what prompted her to write the book and some of the feelings that she had while she was writing it. It was such a joy to talk to her. It was such a cool experience.
How old is she?
She describes it as her midlife crisis. She's younger 40s,
Okay.
I think. Um, I think she's in her 40s, but it was maybe a little older than younger 40s. Because she remembered more of like the 80s and early 90s than I do.
Okay.
But I'm not, always keep thinking that I'm older than I am too. I'm like, I'm almost 40. I'm not almost 40. I have years,
I
4.
feel like you after like 30 and then you're like, just what happens?
It's, we're like after 35, I'm like, should I just round up to 40 now?
Yeah.
But it was so cool to talk to her. I highly recommend it if you're like into memoirs. But memoirs are heavy.
Yeah,
So
they're
again, it
deep.
wasn't something that I was like perusing quickly
Yeah.
through. Like it took some time. I finished it. I almost cried. I probably would have cried, but I finished it on the plane
And they're
next to my youngest daughter, who like, would certainly ask all sorts of questions and things. And I was like, oh, I'm just thinking about parenthood as a whole in my parents' life. And this is amazing. Like, so I held it together because I didn't want to answer all the questions, but it was so good. I so enjoyed it. So highly recommend, even though it's not KU. It was a great book.
back to play along. I'm excited for the 5th book to come out, Rio's book, because it's going to be hockey. And
Oh.
there was a large, very exciting thing that happened in the world of hockey over the weekend. My alma mater won the national championship. And the Western Michigan won the Division I hockey national championship for the first time ever. I was like texting my coach the whole game. It was so cool. So I'm excited to get into a hockey book later this
Nice.
summer.
I've really enjoyed the rugby romance we read recently,
We
and
should totally find another one.
they're playing some rugby games in Charlotte this summer. I'm like, maybe I'll go to a rugby game. That sounds great.
See how it goes.
Yeah. Anyways, we read Story of My Life.
Yes. And so this story takes place in Story Lake, Pennsylvania. It actually begins in New York City, where you meet the female main character, Hazel Hart, who went through a divorce, was
A
it?
year ago.
Like a year ago.
A year
A year
ago.
ago.
But she hasn't like left her bed, and she describes this place, and it just like reminds me of like a homeless
A
camp.
hoarder. She's like
a
hoarding.
Like she doesn't shower. She
Doesn't take out the
orders
trash.
takeout for every meal. Like there might be mysterious mold growing.
Yeah.
Right. I think there was probably described mysterious mold
Yes.
growing.
And
Like, severely depressed. She hasn't written a book in like 2 years, keeps missing multiple deadlines because she is a best-selling romance author.
yes, but she just like doesn't want to do anything. Like she goes to a coffee shop and like barely or she orders coffee, doesn't do anything, and her best friend and agent is this girl named Zoe who comes to her and is like, you need to get out of this funk. We're gonna go do a signing event. And she goes to do this signing event, and like barely anybody shows up to her table, and she realizes that she's like not who she was. Zoe gets fired because Hazel's not writing. That's the person she's supposed to be helping out. And so because of Hazel, Zoe also doesn't have a job. And all of a sudden, it's like the middle of the night. Hazel and Zoe had a couple of glasses of wine, I guess. And then Hazel has more glasses of wine at her house and sees a house online and buys it.
Yeah. And Zoe's also Hazel's about to get kicked out of her apartment because during the divorce, her ex-husband gave her 1 year to live there and then she had to evacuate. And it's been a year and Hazel just doesn't open up her mail or look at anything to see the notices and the reminders like you need to get out.
Also, so like I'm reading this and I'm like, how do people do that? Like, I don't think I could spend a year in my house not leaving.
I
Nothing would.
travel with a whole weekend.
I don't. I can stay the whole weekend in my house.
But not shower? I don't know. Ugh.
Right.
The not showering part. So yeah, so she goes and she's her and Zoe pack up and they're going to this new house in Pennsylvania. And she like rents a car. She's a terrible driver because she lives in New York City, which
Checks out.
checks out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she can't like put gas in her car.
She can't like pull up to the gas thing and she's blocking the way. And then some hunky hero comes to
help.
move the car.
I really thought this was gonna be our hunky hero.
I did too. It's not the hunky hero.
And he was so nice.
Yes. And then
Spoiler, it's the hunky hero's brother.
Hot brother.
yeah.
They're
And they
all
all
hot.
and they all look
How
alike.
convenient.
Of course.
And
a story like this is great.
okay, this part I didn't understand. She's like driving in a fish, like
Okay, because Goose, the
The town-
bald eagle, is carrying the fish and then just drops it on him, and it whacks her in the face, and like Goose.
she has to have stitches from this fish.
Well, no, because
The
Goose
eagle's
is,
talon.
yes,
Oh.
Goose is flying so low, he like smacks her in the face with a fish, and then scrapes her with his talon, and she hits the welcome
The
sign.
into the house. So she meets the mayor who sold her this house, and he's a 17-year-old.
17-year-old named Darius.
Yeah. And he's super energetic and he's super excited. And he tells her, with the house, you get a spot on the town council.
The beginning of your political career.
And also, this house is not what it looked like in the pictures.
No, it's like completely breaking down and
He had his sister like Photoshop.
Yeah.
ChatGPT.
Right? One of those AI home groups.
But at this point, our hunky hero has met Hazel because he watched the entire fiasco of her crashing her car
To Goose.
to Goose, like puts a ridiculous band-aid on her forehead and drives her to the new house.
And tells her like never to drive again.
And leave
She's
me
so
alone.
terrible. So, she is gonna start. Okay, this was the other thing. She's gonna start renovating this house with money. I don't know where because she hasn't written anything in 2 years.
She
and-
still gets some royalties.
but her ex-husband
I
takes the
know.
majority of
I
it.
I honestly don't know. I think she had some saved up. One would hope, or she's just has a money tree.
And the house needs complete renovations from like top to bottom.
Mhm.
Even though it sounded like they had just recently re-renovated it.
Yeah. I don't know.
It was
Like
very
maybe a
Like,
decade
without
ago, but
meeting or
like
something.
I don't know.
yeah, so Zoe's going to stay with her, but then Zoe wakes up to a raccoon in her bed. Bertha.
Bertha,
So that was fun.
quite possibly my favorite character.
Yes.
So Zoe's like, I am not staying here. I'm gonna stay in a hotel. You can stay in this spot.
With your
And-
trash panda.
Yeah. And so, yeah. They don't have any clothes because it's in the car.
Oh my God.
Oh, well, because the
Well-
clothes were in the trunk.
And
Yeah.
she brought all of the wine bottles she had, which was a lot. And in the crash, all the wine bottles
Oh,
broke.
yeah.
So her
she
clothes
smelled.
smelled like cab. Just a little Cabernet.
And just, like they're going out to dinner, and the entire town hates her.
Yes, because she
the
killed
rumor
Goose.
mill, yeah.
They think that she killed the eagle when she didn't. And so, like, they all hate her. She smells like wine.
Oh my
She's
God.
living in a house that is deteriorating.
So they have to go on a shopping trip to, the general store, which happens to be owned by Cam's family. And he's there closing the store for his sister. And he has no idea how to use the cash register at all. So they just go do it. And then his sister, I think, was watching the
no,
from
the
a security
neighbor
camera
was
or
the neighbor was texting her about
Oh,
it
yes.
Oh.
from
So
the window.
his sister calls and was like,
Be nice.
be nice, yells at Cam, and then wants to talk to Hazel because she's a big fan.
Yes, the romance. So she's been having a great introduction to this town.
Until
Um,
they go to dinner.
yes, well then
They try.
They
They
try,
try.
and everybody hates her.
Emily, the enemy, confronts her for killing Goose.
And now they have to have a town meeting because
Town meeting
yes.
during bingo night or something.
So the entire town hates her
Birthday.
for ruining bingo night too.
Yeah.
And the reporter for the neighborhood app. Oh my gosh. I turned off all notifications for the neighborhood app like during the hurricane because it was every 5 seconds.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure I would eat up
Oh
the
my
battery.
gosh. So I turned it off.
The wind blew here. The wind blew here.
So
Is there power?
we have where I live, we have an HOA president who sends these emails that are like 10 pages long. Like
Oh my, she has nothing better to do.
so recently she's been watching the security camera at the clubhouse and
She has nothing better to
and she says that at 3 a.m. these people have been sneaking into the clubhouse bathroom.
Hmm.
And so then she went into the bathroom the next day and found drugs.
do.
How scandalous.
I know. And so she wrote this 10 page and I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah.
That's hilarious.
And so and she was like, I'll tell you what it was. It was heroin.
My
Dun,
gosh.
dun, dun.
So now the police have been involved in
Oh my gosh.
So anyways, back to the book.
So happy I don't have an HOA. Oh.
So we learn more about the family of our main character, Cam. He's got this sister who seems like so cool.
Yeah.
Like spoiler alert, she's my favorite character. And she was just so fun to listen to and see the like interactions with her. But an important aspect to know in her story is that about a year or so prior, she like had some sort of car accident where she went out for a run and
got hit by a car.
Yeah, ended up
She, like,
paralyzed.
ran
and
over by a
she's
car.
in a wheelchair now.
But she is a badass.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
It does not stop her.
they have 3 kids. She has 3 kids,
Yes. They're like older
Yeah.
teenagers.
Yeah.
Like, in high school.
a daughter and 2 sons. And the son was the waiter at the
The restaurant.
restaurant.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Hazel ends up hiring the Bishop boys or brothers for the renovation, and they need the money. So, like, they're basically like, don't
'Cause
screw
otherwise
this up
Their third generation family business is going out of business.
because the whole town's going out to
So his
business.
brothers call Cam out for being a dick to Hazel. Like, stop being a dick. We need this money.
Yeah, we need
Yeah.
a
Or else
customer.
we're not gonna have a job.
And where she gets this money, I still have no idea.
I know. Who knows?
So they go to the town hall meeting about the murder of Goose, the eagle.
Who's the very still alive eagle?
This book, there was some plot, not a lot. It was a lot of just funny fluff and ridiculousness. But I mean, it was entertaining.
Yes, yes.
So Emily the enemy is a biatch again. And then somehow Cam had a dash cam and shows that Goose hit her in the face with a fish.
And that Goose is still alive.
Goose is still alive because his family gets a video of him like that morning alive and dropping fish on other people. And
Goose's go-to thing.
Goose
Yeah.
is just a menace. I identify with Goose.
So Hazel is free. She's not hated anymore.
People like start coming up to her after the meeting and saying hi.
Yes. So Hazel's inspired to write a new book, and her inspiration is Cam. She actually saw a picture of him before she bought the house, and she said that he's going to be her next male main character in her new romance book. Now, she's supposed to be writing the 3rd book
Of a series.
of a series,
Was it? I thought it was even
Or
more
it might
than
have been
3.
4 or 5.
It was, it was
Yeah.
like deep in the
Yeah.
series.
but her ex-husband owns like,
The rights
The
for the
rights.
first 3 books because that happens.
and he hates romance.
He is also like a editor, not an editor, but like an agent
An agent,
for
yes.
fiction because he's hoity-toity and
Nobody has time.
romance
Yeah.
novels aren't good enough for me.
So, but she is not writing the next series. She's inspired by Cam and this town, and so she's going to be writing a new series.
Story Lake theory.
Yes.
So she needs more inspiration. So she asked Cam to flirt and take her on a date so she can like get some material for the new book.
And he being the gruffy main character, just like, no, I don't know about this.
And she's like, fine, I won't hire your family. And he's like, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah. So they're hired. They show up the next day at 7 a.m. to start demo. Ugh.
And then there's this issue with the dog comes, Laura's dog, and he gets stuck in a bathtub.
Just absolute ridiculousness. And then it's such a large dog, she can't get him out. And then the boys have to come help her. And then, but she also had just taken a shower, so she's only in a towel. And I want to know how that towel did not fall off.
Right, that's impressive. That's some real good tying skills. Yeah.
The whole point of a romance book is like the towel falls off.
It should have fallen off.
I
You're
know.
right, yeah.
So,
I didn't think that at the time, but now that you pointed out, I should have
Like,
thought
it
that.
should
The
have-
towel should have fallen off.
She really missed
Missed opportunity. And also I don't know that this book needed to have had more non-plot to get any longer.
yeah. So,
Anyway, somehow Hazel's stuff that she was able to, through this like manic phase in her depressive thing where she bought a house and she like packed up a whole moving truck, finally comes and gets delivered
yes,
with like her clothes and
everything.
other stuff.
yeah.
And the other two brothers start showing a little flirtation with her, and Cam is like, "Wait a minute," and he's like, "Fine, I'll go on a fake date with you." And so, she goes tile shopping with their sister and meets, which is in the town over, which is called Dominion.
And they're the rich town. They have all the nice things. It's like spring break
Yes.
Yes.
for everyone.
And she meets the mayor who actually used to date Cam. And Laura says Hazel's Cam's new girlfriend.
So many young politicians in this area.
Right?
Yes.
And Hazel accidentally tells Laura about the fake date when she wasn't supposed to.
Mhm. Laura, who loves everything about this.
I know.
Because she's already shipping them.
So Cam goes and is like gonna take her on this fake date, but he doesn't really act like himself. He takes her to like a fancy restaurant, and
Super snobby with food that you wouldn't want to eat.
she's like, I need it to be you, authentically you, because you are my book character.
She calls him out like, you're tanking this date on purpose.
Yeah.
And he's like, fine, we're gonna go on a real date. And they get in the car and he's like reading one of her books. That's so cute. And then he takes her on what we will call the Cam special. He pulls up to like a hoagie
A
place.
Wawa.
Yeah, a Wawa, thank you. Gets her a hoagie and takes her to the lake. And in this boat, she's like, whose boat did you just steal?
It's like, don't worry about it. It's fine. It's
Yeah.
a small town. It's all
So
good.
they go on the boat and they're eating hoagies on the lake. And he opens up to her a little bit that he and his brothers were actually adopted. Laura is
Biologically, their parent, the bishops, but the three brothers aren't. That one of the brothers was being fostered by the bishops, and then when she found out that there was two more, took
they
all
just adopted
three.
all of them. He worked in real estate development, and he had moved away to, I think it was Maryland.
Yeah, big town.
Yeah, I think Maryland area. And then he came back for his dad's stroke and then again for Laura's accident. And then he kind of
When he came back from Laura's accident, it's not necessarily permanent, but like he quit his job, he sold the house. Like he's more
living
back,
above the general store in a shitty apartment
Yeah.
thing. And then he kind of forces Hazel to open up a little bit. She didn't really want to.
And she didn't open up very far.
She did not
No.
at all. But then they end up going back, and Levi comes down the dock with the town pig as well, and somehow Pam accidentally pushes Hazel in the lake. They're all wet. They strip out of their clothes. They're in their underwear, and he drives her back and then kisses her on the front porch.
'Cause that's how first dates end.
Exactly.
So then they go and they play Ultimate Bingo.
Also, I really want to know.
I want to
the
play
rules
Ultimate Bingo.
for this because it sounds hilarious.
So fun. I want to play so bad.
So Cam's painted in blue, and
Which
he
I did not expect him to like come all painted in blue with his team pride. He's the
I don't
grump.
know.
He's the town
He's
grump.
the town grump, but he's also very protective.
yes.
Yeah, true.
And they share some more kisses underneath the bleachers.
Like, and the whole town's just right there, and
Yeah.
somehow they don't get caught.
No, yeah. And she's like,
But like that
surprised.
town's got to have some middle schoolers also trying to sneak under the bleachers.
Yeah.
True, true. So after Ultimate Bingo, Cam, it's like dark. He sneaks to her house. And she calls him out for being grumpy all week after that kiss. Because
it was a good kiss, and she was mad he was grumpy because she wanted more kisses, and she gets them.
and they agree to no strings attached secret sex in writing. They have a written
A whole
contract.
Well, and so it's so funny because in the book that I read after this, they do a contract, but it was like friends with no benefits.
Why do you need a written contract for friends with no benefits?
Guys, I actually had my lawyer draft something up before I came.
Is this notarized?
Yeah. So I was like, that's why I was getting confused between the two books. So I was like, okay, which one's a friend with benefits? Which one's a friend without benefits? So, and so Zoe shows up.
At 11 o'clock at night?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Yeah, she got Hazel featured in a magazine and was so excited about it, except for the douchebag ex-husband.
wrote this weird,
Oh my
awful
God.
thing.
Yeah. And I thought he came off bad anyways, but I think he was trying to make Hazel look bad. And so the brothers are like, we'll get him!
Revenge.
Yeah.
Completely unhinged. They
Oh
want to
my
get in the
gosh.
car immediately and go drive and beat him up.
Yeah. And Hazel's like, there's no point in doing revenge.
Right, my revenge will be this good book.
Yes.
Mhm. And then we jump to another town council member meeting. So it's just the council members. And we find out that the town is out of money and they somehow need to pay for a $200,000 upgrade to the sewage plant.
Yeah. It's gonna, if they don't pay it,
They're in
gonna be-
deep shit. Unintended.
Literally.
After the meeting, Cam and Hazel do some hanky panky in the back seat of his truck in the parking lot of the inn.
Sticking to their contract.
Yes. But she's still getting texts from her ex-husband Jim about like, what is she writing? Is she
Yeah.
writing? Why did she move? And all this stuff. Because before she moved over to Pennsylvania, she did a Facebook or an Instagram live, and
Oh
it
my
had
gosh, I
like
forgot
all
about
these
that.
Yes. Oh my gosh,
views.
how did we forget about that? It was such an important part of the story, I felt like.
So,
Yeah.
and it was funny so this is where I thought this book could have gone in a different direction. I thought to raise the money, they could have used Hazel's Instagram influence to get more people to come to the
I
town.
thought that's what's gonna happen too. Thank you.
She had like thousands of viewers
Right.
on this one video. She could have used like the renovation.
Hey, I found this town. Yeah.
Yeah, to have, and people started coming to
They did.
see
Yeah,
her.
they came because they were
So I was
They
like,
were so inspired by her.
yeah, the Hazel Heart fan club or whatever.
yeah.
Because she just said, fuck it, I'm leaving and starting over now. And people really resonated with that.
So why they didn't use that to get people to come to this town to help raise the money was beyond me.
Agreed.
So, yeah, so Hazel gets drinks with the brother Levi, who tells her that he really wants to be a writer. And so he needs advice from her. Levi's the brother that doesn't really have his niche yet.
Because the other brother is a lawyer.
Yes.
Cam is Cam.
Yeah, Laura has the store. So Levi's niche is like writing, but he doesn't know how to start and he's getting really frustrated and all this stuff. So Hazel's just giving him advice and they're having some drinks. Well, Cam is closing the store and finds out that they're having drinks and like flips out. And
He acts like an ass and confronts them in the
always acting
bar.
like an
He's-
ass.
I know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And they have a fight, and then he finally admits his feelings. He's like, I like you, Hazel.
I really liked Hazel in this part actually because she was like, "No, we're not letting this be a miscommunication," and she really like set it straight.
Mhm.
It's one of the first books where I'm like, "Oh wow, communication!
What?
What
Wow!"
happens?
How else are they going to drive the plot if there's fine communication?
So we go back to Dominion, and the mayor is like
She's
steals.
a thiefy thief and steals her roofers for the week.
Yes, and Hazel overhears her that she has somebody on the inside at Story Lake, and she wants to take over Story Lake and turn it into a golf course. So Hazel goes to Pep and Laura, who are Cam's parents.
No,
and,
Pep is his mom. Laura's
Yeah,
his
it's his sister, yeah. Because she has an idea. This is where I was like, oh, she's going to use her influence.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah,
no.
let's document this.
Yeah. And her idea is to steal tourists from Dominion, but like Dominion has like that party atmosphere. She wants more of like the family and the older crowd to come over and really see the charm of Storybrooke. And so they have a town meeting, and Hazel talks about her idea for Summerfest, which is like a big festival, and they're going to do it over Labor Day, which is a week away. And they're going to
You know
raise
what,
money.
if depressive Hazel can pack up her whole hoarded apartment in a night, she can plan this really big,
Yeah.
important fundraising festival in a week.
So, the council, you have like Emily, who we all knew at the very part is the person talking to
Yes.
the mayor. So and then so Cam is like, I'm gonna be the co-chair, and guys, we're dating.
In front of the entire town, and she was pissed.
That was not in the contract.
They did not agree to that.
So she's really upset, and so he has to like win her back. And of course he wins her back because he's
Obviously.
Oh
Cam.
my God. He invites her to his apartment over the general store, and there's a piglet, guys.
Oh yes.
He has wine and dinner and a little piglet and Summerfest planning. And of course, you know, things happen.
Yeah.
Well, the best part is like, he's like, you can't be mad, you're holding the piglet.
I thought you guys would enjoy this, but they were watching Bridgerton in bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, the piglet would not do it for me.
Yeah.
It's not like a puppy. You're a puppy.
I don't know. Some of those little cute piglets are
They're cute, but they're
not as snuggly.
yeah, I don't have a firm attachment to piglets like they
Okay.
would a puppy.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Kittens are really cute to me. Like,
Yeah.
but I
They're
think
so sharp.
Oh man,
They're vicious
They're little
Yeah.
cuties.
with their paws.
And they're biting.
But
Anyways.
while watching Bridgerton in bed, Hazel asked him what happened to Laurel's husband. It turns out he died. He was running with Laura and saw the car coming and tried to like shove her out of the way, and then he didn't survive. And her husband and Cam were best friends since elementary school.
That was a hard part.
I know.
Yeah. And he kind of like blames himself because if he was there, maybe he would have been running and all this stuff.
It doesn't even make sense at all.
But in this time frame, they had gone back to her house, and the next morning they wake up. He goes downstairs to make breakfast, and Zoe walks in to find naked Cam making breakfast.
Making breakfast.
What a greeting.
Oh man. So Hazel has a bike because she can't drive and she's still terrible. And so Cam's like, I will teach you how to drive in my truck.
Like the biggest vehicle possible.
I don't even drive my dad's truck. I don't know. Trucks like are just so massive to me.
We had an expedition that I drove quite a bit. So
I drive Brian's giant car all the time.
yeah. I enjoy it actually. It's kind of fun.
And I learned to drive on my dad's big work van.
Well, didn't you drive the moving truck?
Yeah, I drove the giant
Oh,
moving
yeah.
truck,
Yeah.
towing my car.
Yeah. Brian was towing nothing, right?
Yeah, Brian just drove his car.
Okay.
And the dogs.
And the kids.
Nope, the kids.
Oh yeah,
the
they
kids
were
flew
with
up with
Yeah, the
Mommy.
kids flew up with my in-laws.
Oh, okay. Anyways, so back to as we describe Amity as a moving
Yeah.
story. Moving story, Brooke. No. So Summerfest is a giant fiasco. It's super hot. The 5K runners get heat stroke. One of the family buses gets moved to Dominion, but the old person's bus comes. The boat sinks. Ice cream melted.
And the petting zoo animals escaped.
So you name it, it happened because,
But Cam thinks someone sabotaged Summerfest. And I mean, I knew who it was the whole time,
Mhm.
just throwing that out there. But Nina, the mayor of Dominion, comes along like, hey,
ex-girlfriend mayor.
yes.
how's it going over here? And gloats, offers to pay for their sewer plant if they agree to the annexation. And they're all like, no, absolutely not. Hazel ends up confronting Nina and pushes her in the lake.
I love them. Good full circle moment.
I know. But then Nina gets in Emily the enemy's car, so we know who the rat is. I could have called it, but
And then Hazel's ex-husband shows up with her mom. And her mom's like, look who I brought, like being oblivious to everything and not having any idea that her ex-husband is this awful person who stole her books. And Hazel is finally able to stick up for herself, and her mom realizes everything that Hazel has been through. And they have like a sit down, and Hazel Hazel's mom is like divorced 7 times.
She always
And
marries up somehow. Like some
Yeah.
really
Yes.
rich
These were,
man.
if you were not marrying for love, whatever she was marrying for was working.
Yeah.
She was step up every time.
Every single time. But I didn't think I would like her as a character, but I actually did.
Yeah.
I liked her mom because she was like, why didn't you call me? I have so much experience with divorce.
Yes, I can help you
I
out.
have lawyers.
I can get your books back.
There was a cute quote in here where her mom's like, you can't not be open to love again, and the quote was, then you keep living and falling in love with whatever comes next.
Love it.
I know. That was my favorite quote of the whole book.
So we figure out that Emily was the sabotager, and that Nina had promised that she'd be deputy mayor if Storybrooke was taken over. Okay, this part of the book, I think I had so many eye rolls because I was like, "Are you joking right now?"
It felt unnecessary.
It felt so. I felt like they needed a
The third act.
yes
Breakup.
So Laura falls and she ends up in the hospital. She's like,
All that far.
yeah, she's completely like fine. Like she didn't even want her brothers to go.
Right.
But Cam goes, he freaks out, envisions Hazel in the hospital, and goes to Hazel and is like, our contract's over. We're done. We're done. We've broken up. And so Hazel goes back to her depression. Because, she had a man, didn't have a man, had a man, now doesn't have a man.
She got 48 hours of wallowing in.
Yes, before Zoe comes up. And because the bishop, she has to put on an act that she's fine in front of the brothers.
So the two brothers go back to Cam and say, oh, she's doing just wonderful.
And the whole town turns on Cam and his team Hazel. And they are not afraid to let him know.
Oh, it's so funny.
So
it reminds me of Gilmore Girls when Luke and Lorelai broke up and they were picking teams.
They had
and
like
they had
the blue
ribbon.
and pink
Oh my
ribbons.
gosh, definitely a Gilmore Girls reference.
So Cam's parents and siblings have an intervention for him.
Like basically telling him he's being an idiot. It took him a long time to realize he was being an idiot and that his family was right.
Yes.
That was the whole story.
I know. The I'm fine tour continues at the bar. Zoe just happens to disappear. Garland comes and he's the town reporter.
Gossiper.
And wants a photo with Hazel and some beefed up dude for who knows, he made up some lie. And then somehow these pictures get to Cam. He shows up pissed. And it turns out the town had been setting them up for like 2 weeks trying to get them back together. They're perfect together. Cam ends up fighting with multiple someones, gets arrested by Levi, who's the town sheriff. And then Cam ends up climbing through Hazel's library window to apologize. This is not his grand gesture. He's planning something.
Oh, yes.
So
Hazel goes back to New York for a publishing meeting, and she comes back to a finished house. She's like texting or calling Cam and he's not answering. Laura pulls up in.
Hazel ends up calling Laura like, hey, what are you doing? And she just conveniently pulls in the driveway right then. And they finished the entire house, including the ramp for Laura to get in the house.
Okay, that was the sweetest moment was when Hazel was asking Cam about a ramp to make it more accessible for Laura and everything.
Her new friend. That's so sweet.
So
then Darius shows up with the head of the old person's home.
Such an involved mayor.
I know. He really, at the age of 17.
Yeah.
And it turns out the old person's home ended up buying the hospital in town for a new assisted living facility. So that's going to bring in taxes and money to the town. And they were also able to get a 5-year extension on the sewage plant after Emily the Enemy stopped meddling.
Yes. And they didn't realize, well, but the next town over or something was able to get the extension.
Multiple other towns.
Yeah.
Emily had talked to them to say should only be a 1 year because she was trying to get the town to go under.
Yeah. Zoe and the Bishop brothers show up and they're all hammered except for Cam
Love this part.
because
They're celebrating.
Yes, they got the rights back from the book from Jim with her mom's lawyer's help. Cam, of course, professes his love and he proposes with a ring taped inside a wedding organizer notebook. And
They also like came with a dog and a cat as a gift.
Like
Like
she needed something to help get rid of the raccoon Bertha.
And luckily she says yes because Cam had already moved all of his stuff in. She's like, what is this air fryer doing here?
When she wanted that cat for her like writing library room.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And then we flash forward a year later, and she's the #1 best-selling author.
Again.
She wrote 2 books. She's pregnant, and Laura's the new mayor. And they all live happily ever after. Now, question, who do you think, because this is a series, would be the next book?
I think it's her friend. I think it's Zoe.
Zoe with one of the other brothers?
Levi?
Maybe.
Well-
Gage. I think it's Zoe and Gage.
Do you think Laura will have a book?
Yes, because at the end it was like some guy at the gym
So,
and
okay.
Laura.
Isn't Levi the author?
Yes, but Gage and Zoe were kind of more in the book,
Yes.
a thing.
I suppose another author inspiration book
Mm,
would be lame in this series.
yeah. I think he'll get a book.
Well, one of them was interested in Zoe, and they were
I
like,
feel like they were all interested in
They
each
were
other.
all-
And
I
I was
think it was
surprised that
more-
that wasn't a bigger plot point.
True. I thought it was Gage, the lawyer brother, that at the end of the book they were him and Zoe were kind of more of a thing.
yeah.
So favorite characters?
Laura.
Laura and Bertha.
Yeah.
The
I think
raccoon.
Laura's dog was Bentley too, which is my dog name.
So we've got some themes. We've got, honestly, I think it was Grumpy Grumpy or Grumpy Depressed.
Yeah, like it wanted to be Grumpy Sunshine, but they both
She
took
wasn't
Grumpy.
sunshiny
I
enough.
know. It was like Grumpy, partly cloudy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then
She
we
was
have-
sometimes she was like happy, and then other times she did call him out on a bunch of
She
stuff.
did. We have Small Town, Fake Romance, Friends with Benefits, and then a little Found Family because the boys were adopted.
Mhm.
So rating out of 10.
Amity?
This is a 5.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 6.
I'll do 6 too because it did get better.
It got better at the end.
It was long. It took a long time to get
It
to
was.
better.
Yes, it did take. Yeah.
It wasn't, I did not love it.
Yes.
It was fine. Like it wasn't bad. I think if I didn't like it, I would have gone less than 5, but
Yeah.
it wasn't.
There was just not that much happening in it.
You know what it is? I don't think I'm gonna read the next book in the series.
Really?
Yeah, like I think if it pops up, there's too much other stuff.
Yeah,
Maybe
other
years
stuff.
from now when I forget I didn't like it, but
No.
it wasn't for me. It feels a little
I felt a little forced. Like there was some stuff in it that I was like,
right. It
okay.
felt a little like you like the author was maybe dared to like bet you can't work all these things in, and she's like watching me happen. And
It's like when you watch NFL players or like professional athletes and they have to say a phrase in their press conference.
yes, it like reminded me of that. Like this was just everything felt a little bit too far, a little too, I don't want to say on the nose because it was like on the clown nose. Like
Yeah.
it was just a little much.
And it was funny while I was reading it, when it got to that part where Kim like freaks out, I was like, okay, here it comes. Like I knew it. I was like, okay, what is going to be the part where they break up and then they get back together?
Yes, you know, I don't
And-
normally mind
Yes.
the formulaic nature. Like I love the formulaic nature. In fact, I love that I already know this is going to end happy, and that when they do that, I'm just like, wow, cool how they got there. But I just didn't care. The character development wasn't enough for me to care about the characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think that they weren't relatable. Like there wasn't a point like usually female main characters, I can be like, oh, I can relate.
Yes.
Hazel,
No.
I was like, okay, get your
Right, get yourself together.
yeah, like this guy was an asshole to you, and
Mhm.
you're wasting away in a bed for a
Yes.
year, you know.
Exactly. She was hard to relate to. But hopefully we'll relate to the characters in our next book, which is going to be The Serendipity, part of the Only Magic in the Building series done by a ton of different authors.
Yes.
New this month. Very excited. And hopefully we like that. Some of our favorite Katie Bailey's part of this.
Yes.
So, I think her book is the last one. So we're reading the first book in the interconnectedness series. This is a really cool concept. So
yes.
it's, I think, the same setting and probably some overlapping characters, but it's all different authors.
Yes. So each book in the series is written by a different author. So we're going to read the first one, which is going to be written by Emma St. Clair. And then let me look up, what is the second one? Who wrote the second one?
There's a number of these books. Like there's a fair amount.
Yes. So it'll be interesting because will the characters overlap? Are they going to be, so I haven't even read the story is about, but the next one is Courtney Walsh. I actually don't know too many of these authors except Katie Bailey. So
Is that 8 books?
yep. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
7, 8. Yeah.
7, 8.
Should I stop the recording?
No, because we're still talking.
So yep. So that's going to be our next book in our for the podcast.
So excited to read that and excited to read everything else that we get to read together. Thanks for listening to our reviews, rants, and ramblings. Remember, if you also read this book and review it on Amazon or Goodreads or any other place that you review books, please include that Schmindel Unlimited sent you. And if you wouldn't mind a quick review or rating on our podcast platform, we would be forever grateful. Have a great weekish, and we can't wait to read, review, rant, and ramble about the next book with you. Bye.